Welcome to another one of our videos where today we're going to be looking at some strength exercises, or actually just sort of gym exercises to use for basketball players. Now, bear in mind there's really hundreds that we may use, and these aren't necessarily the only ones or the best ones, because it just again position that depending on what position you play, it might change substantially. So exercises I might use for a power forward or a centre are going to be a lot different to the ones that I use for point guards. All right, but generally speaking, these are good for most players of all positions, and they share a lot of common traits. And really, again, with sports training, I try to use exercises as much as I want to improve performance. I really want to try and prevent or negate the damage that the sport can cause to them. So in basketball, it's very much to do with knee injuries and ankle injuries. They're probably the two most common ones. So the first exercise I'm going to use is a deadlift. All right, so nothing really fancy about this one, but it's a great one for a basketball player because it really is where the acceleration, the ability to jump, and the ability to stay low and maintain strength. And this is where acceleration for running and fast and exploding quickly, change of direction, and jumping are all built around this exercise, and possibly the squats as well. I could include squats here, but if I sort of wanted to choose one, I'll probably stick with the deadlift. Now the next one I might use, again, you'd want to probably be certain that you can do just a basic lunge fairly well. If you can't, that's where you would start. But I'm going to show you, this is one that I like to use for basketball in particular because it sort of shares the timing of a layup or a dunk if you can dunk. So it's working with that opposite arm and the leg from a lunge and just exploding up and maintaining the balance. All right, so great exercise. They're very specific to the sport of basketball. Now, this is where I started to bring into play the problem with ankles and the lack of stability. And I don't know if you've played. I've played many times where I've stood on a person's shoe in the position of the layup or jumping for a rebound, and this is sort of simulating that. And you can sort of see where things start to break down if they're not in the right, if they're not handling it well. And you can sort of see I've had trouble with my left leg many times in the past. So this is a great exercise to sort of overcome that weakness that you may have with that particular movement that you're going to be using a lot. All right, so then from that one I might move into a couple of cable exercises where I'm going to use like a pulling and pushing movement, combining agility into it as well. So again, there's no right or wrong with these. You find that what works for you the best, but I tend to find these are a lot of my go-to exercises with many sports, but in particular basketball. So basically I'm just going to get like a pulling action, then jump in, creating and then an instant pushing action. It's basically just building in agility to like a standard gym exercise for like what you would see as a seated row or a chest press as such. I'm just really making it quite a dynamic movement that's really forcing me to change of direction speed with my legs, all right, and staying quite low. As you'll see towards the end, staying low is critical, and that's where you build that lightning ability to change direction and also prevent the disastrous knee injuries that we see more so in females than the males. All right, so then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just fast forward this. I'm going to move into a single leg deadlift. I'm going to use a Swiss ball here to do this one, and again, like the traditional deadlift, the single leg one just is the crucial one because most of the game you're playing on, well, you're running and jumping off one leg. You're very rarely doing anything off two legs, so that's where all the weaknesses are found, but it's also where the energy leaks are found if you're not running and jumping fast as you would like to. So this exercise is the basic version before you would start implementing more explosive fast ones. So I find a lot of people have a lot of problems with this, just doing the slow version one. So I would definitely make this a big part of your training. I would also then incorporate some lateral movement because lateral movement's massive to the basketball player. So just sort of simple basic lateral lunges, and you could have like a knee lift there where you have to push off faster, so it brings in a bit of speed into the movement. Quite a simple exercise but very effective, and you'll see because when we move outside, which I'm going to do now, I'm going to need all those same movements. So then I'll do a couple of drills here. Again, there's a lot more that I would use, but these are just two of my preferred ones. This is called a low box cutting drill. I use this for anyone who plays sports. A lot of tennis players will use this a lot, but I use this as one of my testing procedures for ACL injuries to prove to me that they're ready to get back to sport, because this is exactly where we would see an ACL tear happen in this movement. All right, so what you need to do is sort of set up really low. It's what we call staying in the tunnel here, so I have to stay low. All right, so I don't want to come up higher. I want to stay down here all the time. So if anyone who plays basketball knows all about this in defense, and you want to stay low. But if I'm a dribbler as well, I'm really quick low, but I'm really slow high. All right, so from here I want to really jump across and plant fast on the right leg and jump back. And you sort of see here I'm quite slow, although this isn't slow-mo, it doesn't do justice, but I'm really trying to force a quick plant off that right leg to land back on the left. And then after I've done, say, 3 or 4 of them, I'll do the other one, move quickly from right to left and planting off. And you'll be able to see here, if I pause there, the most critical factor is that foot plant. A predictor of a knee injury is when that foot turns out and they don't have that strong stiffness through that leg, because this is where the stiffness here is what allows me to change direction quickly. So either to a crossover move, or if I'm in offense, or trying to stay in front of someone if I'm in defense. Again, it's just highly specific to the sporting play of a basketball game. All right, so I would use that as one of my drills. That it's just I'd want to be using it all year round, really, and I want to be really, really lightning fast at it. Then the other one is more of a stability drill, but that has a combination of stability and a bit of a plyometric power move. This is just basic forward single leg hopping with a really explosive diagonal cut around the cone. So I want to sort of stick my landing, staying quite low, keeping my hips back, and then a real fast cut around this one to bang, get into the next cone and stick it again. You can see where that deadlift from before was so useful, because I need that exact same hip action. And that's what protects my knee, that's what makes me stronger, that's what makes me faster. Alright, so there's a couple of really good exercises that are really critical for a basketball player, and you can sort of see that position is, if you just slow-mo or freeze-framed any game, you'd see a player in that position so often with either the ball or in defense. You know, so learning how to develop your strength and your skill and your speed to react quickly and move in all directions is critical. All right, so anyway, so I hope you've enjoyed that video, and if you want, make sure you check out the description underneath for the links in there. There's a lot of information that you can see a lot more of the other exercises and methods we may use. This is just a sample to give you an idea. All right, so I hope you enjoyed that. See you on our next one.